Yo, Joburg, everybody! It's episode 224 of Self-Same GI Joburg. My name is Steve. I'm your host. I'm joined by my best buddies in the game. It's Paul.
Yo, whoa, 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 whoa! What's up, everybody?
And Rob.
It's me,
Hey,
Scoop's biggest
Roberto.
fan, Roberto.
Guys, without actually having any fanfare, our 10th anniversary came and went in the month of October. We already celebrated 200 episodes earlier this year, but truth be told, the podcast, at least the anniversary of the first episode we ever recorded, was somewhere in the middle of October, and we didn't even do a damn thing to ring it in. So we're going to remedy that in this episode by dusting off some terrific responses that we had, which I have to admit I was a little skeptical about asking for in the first place. We basically took to the socials at the beginning of the year to gauge everyone's favorite GI Joburg memories, and I was like, guys, that's a little self-indulgent, but it's testimony to people who've been with us through thick and thin, who actually can recall times when events in our history that they really enjoyed, be it a review that they really connected with, or be it our Road to JoCon process and the documentary that came out of that, or just, having us week to week or fortnightly or once every other month. Our release schedule was pretty scrappy in the beginning, but anyways, gentlemen, another week has passed. Just at the outset, how's everyone feeling?
Good, but it's been a mad week.
Oh,
Yeah.
tell me about it.
Oh no, man! It's just Celia was away in Bloemfontein for the whole week, so I was
Shame.
in the castle by myself, and I worked out some very interesting culinary creations. No, I'm joking. I actually didn't. Although, Steve, you might actually be surprised to learn that I have, because Celia's pescatarian. We do get a lot of like the vegetarian quote unquote meat in the house, and I've been trying to experiment with it. Like we got these like smoky bits and stuff. I've been experimenting with it on pizza. And I gotta say, on pizza, it's okay. So
What? Dude, everything works on pizza.
exactly, that's why it's a win. Except for chia seeds. I've also started eating chia seeds, and it's not because I'm some kind of new age hipster or something. And even if I was, it's not like it's the worst thing in the world. It's just that I went for like at the kung fu thing. I did like an assessment with Sifu, and they did this whole like thing, and yeah, so there's a whole bunch of foods they want me to eat, so I'm eating them as part of my training, and I'm eating them with tears in my eyes. I'd just like everybody to know that. So
Poorly.
Part of the
37 years
training,
old.
though.
He eats
Yeah.
like a 10-year-old.
yeah, but
Robbie,
it's
what's your
it's not
news,
too
bro?
terrible. Robbie, yeah.
Good.
Tell us
Welcome to
what
the human race, Paul.
Yeah, it's time to eat real food.
Can't survive on Swedish fish.
I wish I could eat Swedish fish more often. Anyway.
Yeah, and my week's been pretty decent, I think. I made a lot of progress in the Final Fantasy 14 online game I'm playing, story-wise, and things are getting really interesting now. Four expansions in, like things are actually interesting. Kidding. Things are interesting all along, but like things are getting even more interesting. So I'm really excited to keep going and see where things go with the story.
Nice. For my part, eagle-eyed listeners, people who are quick on the draw, might have realized that last week's episode was uploaded and then disappeared for a time and then was re-uploaded. Reason being, mea culpa, guys. I'm responsible for throwing some shade in episode 223. A local Australian dealer of toys who happens to specialize in GI Joe. I mean, he has pretty much everything on a week-to-week basis. Does claim sales, does auctions, does regular sales. Anyways, he is getting the Haslab Skystriker in at great cost. And he did a breakdown of his costing, and it's actually pretty reasonable when all said and done. because boy oh boy, there are a lot of hidden costs to getting these toys from the United States or wherever they're being produced, from China into Australia. Anyway, I basically was having a go at Haslab for their costing, and how the trickle down affected everyone, particularly the end consumers in foreign territories. And of course, it seemed like I was having a go at the dealer, the middleman, which, yeah, look, I'm just gonna put up my hand and say, so sorry. That's out of bounds, man. You're doing the best job you can, and we're very pleased to have someone who is taking the time and the efforts to get these Sky Strikers into the country. So yes, I'm sorry if it seemed like I was having a go at you personally, but to be honest, I'm just a guy of very modest means, and I'm not loving the price tag that these things carry. It's a bit of a wallop for what it is. That's a huge factor kind of playing into my decision making. Anyways, let's close the chapter on Sky Striker for now. As I've said before, I don't want to kind of stand on my soapbox and either kind of rave about it or deride it. People need to make up their own minds because everyone's circumstances are different. It's looking like a pretty elite edition of this toy. That is beyond dispute. Whether it's within your personal preference to support it, whether you can afford to support it or you feel like for the money, it's not justifying having, a reissue, albeit probably the best issue of this toy. I don't know. It's all sight unseen at this point. I'm never back to Haslab. I don't think this is the one. Anyways, gents, there's a story that I wanted to follow up on. Do you remember a couple of weeks ago I spoke about a guy who basically bought from a sort of former Hasbro VP's garage sale a bunch of like bagged 90s GI Joes and stuff?
I seem
Yes.
to recall something like that, yeah.
Right. It was some weeks back. Anyways, that lot in its entirety, I think, as far as I can tell, was listed on eBay.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yes.
That's something.
That is something.
I mean, of all the
not-
things that I could have like looked at, I was like, "Oh, look, is that Swamp Thing?" Anyway, carry on. Sorry, dude. Yeah. Damn.
So this lot was an auction start price of $3,000 US, with a buy it now price of $4,000, and it was over in minutes, I believe.
Yo.
Because obviously people bid like 3,000, 3,001, increments, and then someone just came in and rolled heavy with the 4,000 asking price.
Hey.
But it doesn't end there. Someone else, the losing bidder, took to Facebook and,
Wow.
well, just decried how close he was to getting this lot.
And there's a scoop there.
There is indeed
That's
a
Rob's
scoop.
line.
There's a Captain Gridiron. But if you are looking at the YouTube version, let me direct your attention to the top 5 rows. There are multiples of the cancelled 1995 Ninja Commandos. It's a full set. They've got Storm Shadow, Flint, Road Pig, Takedown, I think his name is, or Takeout, whatever.
Do you even lift, bro?
And Budo.
Jeez. I can see those pics from here, man. Damn.
Okay, so the story doesn't end there. This caused so much buzz on social media that the seller cancelled the sale. He must have gotten bombarded with counteroffers because he clearly underestimated the value of what he had. I mean, you could
Got
sell
like 2 maces there, dude. Gridiron and scoop. Yo, this dude.
I've been told conservatively that the going price for Ninja Commandos, this unproduced line, that there are a few limited quantities of produced figures like fully painted, ready figures now available. I mean, this is clearly doubled or trebled or quadrupled the number that's currently in existence. Anyways, conservatively, this could get 5 figures in dollar value.
Wow.
Someone was even saying as much as
It's
20k.
the Cyber Viper, hey.
You giant troll, Paul. Like,
I can't help it. I'm sorry. This is getting you back for last week.
So, I mean, people are angry all around. People who've lost out. People who wanted to get in with a steal. I mean, it's crazy money, but you could sell a handful of those and make it back. Thoughts, gentlemen?
I saw this picture on Facebook the other day of those figures, and I was checking them out, and I was like, okay, that's cool. But aside from the Budo, none of them are like really exciting to me. Like,
Paul,
if you want my
it almost
opinion,
doesn't matter what they look like. Like completionists or just
Yeah.
general enthusiasts out there would pay mad money.
no, it is historically significant. Like, I get that. That's cool. I mean, there's that whole collectible side. That one dude in the middle, the purple guy, looks like he should be in He-Man. Anyway, in fact, they all look like they should be in He-Man. Carry on.
I think that's Flint.
Yo. Hey.
Either that or the original character Takedown or something. Anyways,
is that like pull my hair, Flint?
It's something
I'm just curious.
beautiful.
Sorry.
Well, yes, it's Gimp Flint for we do know who really wears the pants in their relationship between him and Lady J. So yeah, ball gag included. So the write-up on yojo.com says that back in 1996, there were rumors that the Ninja Commandos actually ran through a production run of 10,000 figures, and these figures were sitting unsold. However, as of 2003, Hasbro had no record of these figures, and it seems highly unlikely that they will ever be released. Well, they were released from this particular Hasbro ex-employees' attic or garage, wherever. Yeah, they're out. I tried looking for this lot online on eBay to try and find the ended listing. And let me just tell you, when you type in the word huge on eBay, the search results are hilarious. Huge dildo.
Huge teddy bear.
Huge butt plug. And indeed, huge teddy bear. But like, yeah, I was going for huge GI Joe lot, and the first hit was not that.
Clearly not as popular as we thought it would be. So like,
anyways, good times.
I wonder if like in Malaysia or something, there isn't like an abundance of these figures. Like in the 90s, I wouldn't be surprised if some factory shop, because they were all cancelled, just dumped all of their stock onto the streets, into the, like all the toy sellers and everything there. Because, yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm hoping that somewhere it comes out that there's a whole bunch of Asian collectors now that now have these. Can you imagine, like on eBay in the next 3 or 4 weeks, all of a sudden these Ninja Commandos start popping up on eBay, and you can get them, they ship from Hong Kong or ship from Malaysia or whatever's, and they're like $500 each or $1,000 each or something ridiculous. And then I wonder how rare they really are. I mean, Hasbro might not have had more than what they had,
They're slightly less rare now, but I think seeing something like this up for grabs, that they mint and they've just been pulled out of their baggies, will definitely increase the appetite for these in people that otherwise wouldn't have heard of them. It's like, oh, there's a thing that I can throw my money at that's GI Joe that never saw store shelves. Like, absolutely. And to answer a question in the chats from Andrew, Mr. MC DJ, were these figures ever carded or just loose? I don't know. There are cards in existence. Yojo.com has an example of Storm Shadow on card. But yeah, I don't know. This is where we need one of our key chroniclers like Carson Metaxas on the show to clear all that up. Because yeah, this is definitely something that 3D Joes could sink their forensic teeth into.
It's always exciting to see something new though. Like just when you think you've seen everything, to see something, that you never expected. Like that is cool. If I can mention that. because I wasn't. I mean, I thought we had seen everything. I mean, if you've trolled yojo.com long enough and followed all of the 3D Joe's videos and articles and everything over the years, I mean, you've pretty much seen everything. And then this appears. I mean, it's crazy. It's like Steve, Hashem, I don't want to like. I'm worried that maybe you want to talk about this, but there's also a certain Street Fighter figure that popped up on our Facebook feeds. That surprised me in a big way. I was like, "Whoa, that exists!" Because that's awesome too. I don't know if anybody knows what I'm talking about. And Steve, like I said, I don't want to steal your thunder there because I've got a feeling you might have had that queued up to talk about as well.
No. Look, I mean, apparently there's an alternate head on Ken Masters' movie figure, which looks a lot
looks
more
so
like
great.
like
Yeah,
Ken.
man. It's so cool.
Yeah, I didn't know that existed. It's the gift that keeps on giving, gents.
Totally, dude. Totally.
Anyways, I could talk more new
yeah.
shit, definitely, and I'll definitely chew some air after we've rotated around a little bit. Rob, what are you reading, or watching, or playing, my friend?
Oh, okay, yeah. Let me talk about
Apart
that
from Final Fantasy.
I haven't done much reading this week. During the load shedding, I did kind of get back into Doctor Who novel I was reading.
Ooh, what's the title?
So it is Illegal Alien. It is one of the past Doctor adventures and features the eighth Doctor. No, the seventh Doctor. God damn it. My brain today. But anyway, it's actually kind of cool. It's set in World War II. They kind of go back then, and he kind of faces off against a kind of not so advanced group of Cybermen, and kind of like what happens after that. But it's set in World War II, and so that's kind of cool.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's what I was reading. I didn't watch much this week with so many like power cuts. Like there was just not much chance to kind of like sink my teeth into something new. So I've just once again just kept going with Cowboy Bebop, Next Generation, and yeah.
Guys, I watched the closing minutes of the RoboSkull Mk II campaign.
Ooh,
this is the moment the bell tolled on the Kickstarter reaching its completion, and obviously it's funding. I mean, it was an absolute foregone conclusion that it would be funded, but this is the moment on screen now when, Chris McLeod is throwing his hands up in the air, Ben's looking thrilled, and Mark also the raised fist, the Skeletron fist. Wonderful to see. I'm actually elated to just having witnessed this success story. It's been a textbook campaign from the people they co-opted at every level, be it artists, graphic designers, people running the website, the updates on the Kickstarter, the stretch goals, of which they originally only had 6, I learned in this live stream, but they stretched it out to 13, plus additional ideas, which they then just kind of added into, the existing tiers. For instance, like the glow-in-the-dark decal sheet, which, incidentally, anyone who's listening to this, please, these guys are looking for suggestions as to what designs to put onto the glow-in-the-dark sticker sheet.
Ooh.
So if you want to help shape this whole campaign, the RoboSkull itself, what the pack-ins are, there is still so much opportunity to have your say, and Mark and Ben and the whole team are very, very open to that. So yeah, have a word. They're extremely personable. I mean, we've even had some tete-a-tete, and I mean, we're just a podcast that happened to mention the campaign, but they have approached us and cool guys, man, very cool guys.
Cool toy, man. All of the stuff on there is just so rad. I've the only thing I'm not so big on, and I've said this before, is the face mask, and I don't like those yellow decals. Everything else has been super win for me. I don't like them.
The armored face is Mark's favorite contribution.
And that's cool. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that's the only thing I'm not excited about.
There's
on
so
it.
many options for this thing that, I mean, you can take
Exactly.
and not take what you want, really.
And I mean,
True.
like, dude, I've got this like cool idea for when mine eventually arrives in the future. Like of figures I want to put into the RoboSkull. You know, does it fit? You know, but that yeah,
I stopped short of like just tossing into the comments section on the live stream, like that suggestion that I had. You know, if they are indeed super into their Diaclon figures, which Mark actually demonstrated, he showed a Diaclon figure. Like they have incredible articulation at a whole 1 inch tall. These things are pretty cool toys. And I mean, obviously, it's not being created. I mean, this is a Takara thing, the Diaclon. So I mean, it's not like Skeletron's producing the actual figures, but they are making the RoboSkull accommodate them in the eye sockets. But I just thought, like, should I even deign to suggest that they mold an additional part, like a bridge that you can kind of overlay into the cockpit section of the RoboSkull, which adds further interactivity with the Diaclon figures. It's also a case of like the amount of goals that they've put into this project will take them quite neatly up until the sort of production deadline. Like you can't add any more stretch goals because they can't realistically design
deliver it. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like the time frame is starting to become really crunchy with all the additional stuff that they've now put sort of loaded onto their plate. So, man, look, I think everyone in the community should be giving these guys a round of applause, whether they supported it or not. Like this is a wonderful success story and something that we should all take a great interest in as it develops further.
They've also
and
no
take
agreed,
a bow,
man.
gents. Take a bow.
And also, like, can I just say that they have set a precedent, like a new standard for like toys going forwards. Like, I know it's like that's quite a big, you know, that's quite a grand statement to make, you know, when we live in a time where we can get like the Razor Crest and all that stuff now. But the Skeletron for its price, what it can do, what they've made, like the accommodations they've built into it, you know, in terms of what can connect to it and everything, that is incredible. And that is going to change toys. Just like, you know, and it needed to happen because I think too many of the big companies have been sort of settling nicely in a, we'll just give them that. And this RoboSkull, I think, is going to shake things a little bit. I think some of the bigger companies are going to take note and they're going to realize that, oh, okay, well, you know, maybe we should be doing a little bit more. And how did they get away with it for that price? And it's like, So I kind of really dig what they've done there. So to the guys at RoboSkull, or at Skeletron, should I say, nice one for that one. That's awesome. I'm excited, man. Like I said, like you can see it in the comments. MCD is like, Paul, you smelling some Hebug action with the RoboSkull?
Paul, funny you should say Hebug. I mean, there's a digital render that's been done of a custom job. Oh man, who is this gentleman? Troy McKee, a freelance designer, and he's going to do a custom paint job of the RoboSkull with Skeletor's coloring. So a purple
Skeletron.
a purplish cowl. The wings will be done in kind of Skeletor's skin color, and the face is that sickening greenish, yellowish
Love it.
skeleton face. It's just sublime. And first of many customs, I'm sure. I'm sure there are people licking their chops right now, wondering what can I do with this gorgeous toy.
No, I think Bart's airbrush is going to get a bonus soon as well when that thing arrives, because I mean it's perfect. It's perfect fodder for creativity. I don't want to say fodder. It's perfect canvas for creativity. Fodder. Horrible word.
I know that the burning question on anyone who hasn't been following the Kickstarter for RoboSkull Mark II is, now that it's done, can I still get this product? The answer is absolutely you can. I would check out Skeletron's socials or just go to the Kickstarter page. There will be ways of getting this product even after the Kickstarter has closed. So don't you worry, you have not missed out. You might have missed some of the backer perks. Don't quote me on any of this. Maybe all of it is up for grabs. There's certain exclusive decos, like the RoboSkull Special Edition paint job, I believe, which is exclusive to the Kickstarter, stuff like that. But as for getting this in hand, don't worry, you have not missed the boat. Yes, Paul, what have you watched?
Yay! Jeez, like it's amazing. Like now I'm on the spot. No, I did finish Squid Game. Yay! I finished Squid Game,
Worth
and
it?
I'm with Rob.
Disappointing.
No, it's actually totally worth it. I'm very impressed with the show. I kind of feel like I understand why it's getting the hype and attention it deserves, and I know I've said this every time, but if you haven't watched it, please watch Battle Royale. Even better, read the manga. But Squid Game is great, and it's its own thing in a lot of ways. I just I don't necessarily understand the hype, but I do appreciate the performances and appreciate the way the show was done. And you know, we were kind of talking about dubbing and subbing and all that good stuff. Yeah, totally check it out subbed. And then you know, we sort of briefly touched on Cowboy Bebop. I love that show still, and something I'm excited to watch. And I'm hoping that when we do the next episode of the show, I can, you know, go full retard on this, or full nerd on it. But Ghostbusters comes out on your birthday, Steve. Or at least it does here in South Africa.
Paul,
Hey.
Hey.
I wanted to call you out on this the last time. When I asked you why you've got a good feeling about it, you said that it's being reviewed favorably by fans.
Yeah, by
Now,
this...
like focus groups and tests and screen tests and whatnot. Now, my understanding is the philosophy behind those is, of course, you're going to give it a glowing review because you want to be invited back. If you've cracked the nod of a big film studio and your opinion is regarded as important enough for them to take you to one of these privileged screenings, like you've been converted to a yes man, effectively. So,
like, I agree with that. There is a
grain of
likelihood
salt,
for
my
that.
friend.
There have been a lot of YouTubers. I haven't watched their videos, obviously, because I don't want any form of spoiler or want anybody else's opinion. Oh, not true. It's not that I don't want anybody else's opinion. I just I don't want to hear a detailed opinion because it's going to give away things in the movie. Because as much as people don't want to spoil stuff, we invariably do. But there have been a few YouTube videos of guys that don't like it, and there have been a few mentions of it kind of, you know, just being like the one thing that has been said is that it's a movie that strokes a fan's ego, in that it does everything that it pushes all the right buttons for fans. But the comment that this guy made, it's not like it's favorable. You know, he didn't like make it out like, oh, it's gonna like flick your Ghostbusters bean. It's more like, well, it's going to tick all the boxes for you kind of vibe. So, I mean, I have seen that kind of critique or criticism leveraged at it. But it's not just people's opinions that have got me excited. I mean, like, that was like the tip of the iceberg. I just feel like they've done a lot right. One of the major things I'm very excited about is, like, I dig Paul Rudd. I feel like he is a Ghostbuster. Like, he's just the right fit for that movie, in my opinion. I like having the kids there. The kids work for me. It actually makes sense that the kids are in that film.
Kids work for me.
Work for me. No, but I mean, like just remember, like, you know, I was lucky enough at 6 years old to have a Ghostbusters Proton pack. You know, that cool little one from the real Ghostbusters show, and I wore that thing everywhere. Shame, I think I embarrassed the crap out of my mother because I took that thing everywhere, dude, everywhere.
I was never a big Ghostbusters guy, and yet I think my parents thought I was because I had the Ghost Trap in the sort of the role play
cool.
line, but I also had the Ecto one and a full set of the Fright Features figures. Like, I had them all of them. Like, okay, thanks guys. I guess it was just the must-have toy that Christmas.
It could have been.
I got the full set. Like,
Shame, I
I could have done far worse.
No, exactly, dude. I mean, if I contrast that with my experience, I had some of the ghosts. I think I had the American football player, I had Granny Gross, and I had the toilet. I think it's called
You had the
Fearsome Flush.
toilet.
I had the toilet. It's so cool.
Amazing. So
And
good.
I had a
What a bizarre
Egon,
action figure. An action
right?
figure of a toilet with a mouth.
With mouths. It's just so great. It's just, and I'm
Bizarre.
actually so sad that that's just disappeared. But one day maybe I'll get my hands on one of those. But I also had the Egon and I had a Peter Venkman Fright Features, and that was, and then of course my Proton Pack, which was replete with a PKE meter and the Neutrino Wand and the little Ghostbusters patch that you could strap on your arm. That was
What
super
was your
super
play
cool.
pattern, Paul? Were you
Dude,
role
I just
playing
ran around in the
catching
park
ghosts?
nailing ghosts, dude. I used my PKE meter, and I was like, "There's ghosts here." And then I'd like pull out the neutrino wand, and I'd drop the PKE meter because I didn't have any way to put it. And I like, I'd put in that like yellow sponge because it came in like a yellow sponge proton stream that you popped in the top
Cool.
there, and I just
Yes.
the little button made like a sound, and I busted ghosts all the time. I used to walk with that thing on my back to school. And then, shame, Eunice had to like take it back home because she'd
And
walk with me to school, and then
get
she'd give me
beaten
my
up
school bag,
behind
and I'd
the-
give her the proton pack.
Oh god. Hilarious.
But I never had any of like the toys beyond that. Like it's really crazy. So to hear that you've had all of them, that's really cool, dude.
They're wasted on me. I mean, Rob, we never once played Ghostbusters. Like
Yeah.
we used
That's
the Ecto one for the X-Force. Like that was Cable's main ride. Hilariously.
Those poor figures just sat in there. I think we kind of like, as we were starting to play a game, we would just take them out and be like, "Ooh, look at the cool features," and then dump them back into the crate.
As far as what I've been watching this past week, I took myself to the cinema because Elliot's been
Whoa.
sleeping like a champ, and treated myself to No Time to Die.
Oh, the new Bond. And
I don't know what portion of it was just my general enjoyment of the cinematic experience, because we all know that's been missing in our lives. Like hearing people on either side of you talking, eating popcorn, squeaking loudly on those crappy, poorly maintained chairs. Like just the ambiance of the live experience in public. No, I'm being facetious. Basically, like being at the cinema was a delight. It's a treat to be immersed in the experience of it. Like Rob, you, me, and my girlfriend at the time used to go once a week. It didn't matter what was on. We'd be like, we are going to the cinema this week. We're going to pick something when we get there. It's simple as that. Like based on what reviews, or like maybe you had a compelling argument as to why we should see that Star Trek movie instead of that rom-com. But basically, like, gone are the days of this being a ritual, which is so sad, and I've really missed it.
I mean, I was 2 years since this thing, since COVID's begun, and probably a little before that. I mean, I haven't gone.
Well, emotional stuff, man. I was riveted watching trailers. Steven Spielberg's West Side Story never looked better. I'm like, oh god, this looks so good. But they also showed Dune, which I look forward to seeing in December. It looks amazing. Yeah, definitely. Perhaps a more thrilling ride than the 1984 version. Which, by the way, Screen Junkies with their honest trailers did such a great job, just lampooning Dune 1984.
Dune.
I realize what it is
car.
about that film, that basically so much monologue, so much internal monologue, so much narration is like whispered. Well, it's all Is it? Come on, man! You can't whisper in a book unless what do they use? Smaller font, smaller typeset.
No, they do. You just know that they're thinking. Yeah.
It's a directorial choice. The actors are on set and they're like, and if I do this, maybe everyone will think that the words I'm saying are really deep.
Everybody think I'm a dreamer and I'm not the only one.
Very facetious about a film that I have only seen a handful of times as a child.
Oof, I love that movie though.
and fully wanting it to be like the video game. Like, where's the Sardaukar? Where's the trike? The ornithopter? Yeah, look, it didn't deliver in that department. But this film looks like a beautifully shot space opera. And so you're right in being moved like you were, Paul. Because also it was a return to theaters for you.
Yeah,
so
exactly,
yes,
man.
getting back to Bond, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Apart from the fact that I needed to pee quite ferociously after drinking a cider. Like, don't drink alcohol in the cinema unless you plan on filling that sippy cup back up. Yeah, that's always a mistake. Why is it alcohol passes through you a lot quicker than anything else? I should ask the missus. See if Dr. Helen has anything to say. Dr. Jabba, Dr. Kim, whatever.
If I can ask, there's one thing I want to ask you about the Bond film quickly. I've been hearing a lot of comparisons to Metal Gear Solid. A lot of guys have basically said that it cribbed some of the plot from Metal Gear Solid 2.
I think it's more likely a crib from Siphon Filter, at least from the few plot details I know of.
James Bond is not a franchise that is innovating anymore. It's a franchise that is definitely cognizant of trends in the genre and following them. So it was Jason Bourne in the in the noughties. Well, basically, when Casino Royale came to screens, that was a harder edge, a more physical Bond. That was the Jason Bourne era. And yeah, absolutely, there's very much a Metal Gear vibe at times in this one. It's certainly the most tactical I've ever seen Bond. He's looking legit, guys, even though he's seemingly conducting a very highfalutin conversation on his earpiece while taking out guards with his silenced assault rifle. I thoroughly enjoyed it. If you're a fan of Metal Gear Solid, if you're a fan of Bond, if you're a fan of GI Joe, it's great.
Then I'm gonna totally
child
check
actor. It. Oh my goodness!
Hey, listen, that's enough endorsement for me to go and watch it. So.
And Ana de Armas, jeepers, what an absolute knockout!
Apparently, very powerful on screen. That's
the plunging neckline. It's extremely powerful. Deliver a sweep kick and not have a nip slip. That's superpowers right there.
And at the risk of moving away from the what are we watching reading side of things, did you guys get anything cool and new this week?
Oh boy.
No, not me. But I feel like Steven's got another Outback.
Let us have it, Steve.
It is the lead up to my birthday, after all.
Of course, that's why I'm asking.
So I've got a few boxes nestled under the. Well, it's not the Christmas tree just yet. It's just a tree in the garden.
Tree.
The birthday tree. But guys, last week there were 3 things that I've soured on. Right, the one was the Haslab, the other was, I forget, but the third was the Transformers. And boy, have I come around on that one big time. I have been swept up in Beast Wars recently. The reason being most likely I have to reveal on next week's pod when the birthday swag is unveiled. But if you can dial your minds back to the mid-90s when Wizard Magazine and Toy Fair Magazine ruled our toy landscape. The toy that was routinely number 1 in the top 10 hottest toys was none other than Optimus Primal from Beast Wars. And I don't know if you were the same as me, Rob, but we coveted that toy. Was it the same for you, Paul? A lot of fun. I was swept up in the magic of this toy. Never saw it at retail, obviously. But man, they definitely gave it a lot of mileage in the pages of those magazines. I remember clearly a gag that they poked fun at old Optimus Primal with, standing him side by side with G1 Optimus, the truck, saying like, "I transform into an 18-wheeler truck trailer," and then Optimus Primal answers by saying, I throw my own feces. Stuff like that. Anyways, it didn't dull the fact that this toy seemed amazing to me. And I mean, it's not difficult to count the ways. Like, hidden blades in his back, hidden shoulder cannons that spring forward and have firing missiles, a hidden dual missile launcher concealed in his fist that also springs out at the push of a button, a concealed flail mace device thing. What else? Transformation? the alien mask head. Anyways, this might be going over everyone's heads because this is a GI Joe podcast after all, and we've talked a record low number of GI Joe at this point. But I want this toy badly. It's time to scratch this 30-year-old itch, 25-year-old itch. But where? How? There's a reissue that's a Walmart exclusive. But there must have been something in the waters, gents, because I went to this shop in Oz called Big W. It's the equivalent of Walmart, looking for the Kingdom Optimus Primal, which, granted, for all its like modern era or modern construction and svelte, still wouldn't scratch the nostalgia itch like having the original would. And lo and behold, what do I see? They've got the
oh
bloody
my word, slugs out.
reissue. They've got them. They are so case fresh that they haven't even put the price tags on the shelving. So I had to take the box to one of those like barcode scanners to find out how much it cost. Incredible. So yes, they.
I love Elliot's face.
Yes, my boy's like, I don't give no fucks.
I'll do what Dad does, but a baby version.
They've got Rat Trap and Cheetor.
Oh, so cool!
It's 1995 again. So cool.
Gonna party
an opportunity
like it's
to buy these.
1995. My Cheetor is actually here with me.
Whoa.
It's a cool toy, but this is the original.
A cool toy. Well, I don't have the original. I got the new one, but it is a cool toy. I love how its butt becomes a weapon.
Nice. Its butt and its gut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I'm talking about the original once again.
It's so annoying how the Kingdom version doesn't have a blaster, because when you see there's like a 2-pack and he has got a blaster, and you can actually see a little bit of the like sort of gut in the design of the blaster.
Kind of why like the new interpretations aren't doing it for me. Like I saw them, they're nice. They're certainly like they're mini masterpieces, but they kind of streamline themselves to the point where they start taking away features. And to have Cheetor without a gun, I mean, let's face it, Beast Wars was some pretty trigger happy shit. I remember like watching the episodes of the cartoon and immediately like acting it out on the lawn, and we were just shooting the shit out of everyone. Like those kind of plasma balls that the weapons typically dispensed. But I stopped short of buying the reissue because I looked at some comparative reviews on the YouTube, and sadly, as the way these things always seem to go, the reissues are of a lesser quality. The joints are looser, the plastic in places is not as high finish. It's patchy. Like there's certain patches that are shiny black plastic, certain patches that are like a kind of a more malleable matte black plastic. But I looked online and saw an Optimus Primal, just missing a missile, going for less than the asking price of the reissue. So I'm probably going to pounce on that.
Nice, dude.
So
I'm
happy
sorry,
days.
I got so excited seeing that slug in the background. I didn't realize he was out yet. So
it's been out for a while, I'm afraid, buddy. And,
yeah, but the stores get it
seen,
before BBTS does. So
have you seen how many Dinobots they've got? Like this store is swimming in Dinobot. He's reduced to $28 Australian, which is 300 rand.
I don't know why. I just don't like. Here's a good example of what you're talking about now.
Dinosaurs are the best.
I've got that. I've got the vintage Dinobot. You've seen him in my place. Pardon me. And I think that's a much better toy than the Kingdom version. I think the Kingdom version definitely has some things that are cool about it. But I think the vintage in that case is actually the better toy. It's way more fun. And I think they got the Raptor down better. The Velociraptor look is so much better. Technically Deinonychus, but let's not go there. Um, so yeah, man, Steve, that's awesome, dude. I'm like quite excited. I'm quite surprised that that you're going for a Optimus Prime.
180 on Transformers.
Yeah,
Well,
Yeah.
what can I say?
Sour
Man?
back to sweet. Damn, dude.
We are toy collectors. We
Beast
fickle
Wars
beasts.
is my jam. It's my jam, guys. And it's taken me a while to come around to this, but to get in at the sort of the ground floor again, because
I'm so glad you didn't say to get in at the butt. Carry on.
monkey butt. The reissue is going for 85 Australian. I'm trying to haggle the eBay guy down to 65. No, 60. He's auctioning it for 80. I put in an offer for 50 because I'm
it's you.
super thrifty. And he's asking for 65. I'm going to ask for 60. See how we go. But he said it was missing the flail. And then I said, won't you check the arm? Because it stores inside the arm. And he's like, oh, no, it's there. I'm like, sweet. Okay. 60.
Random.
Yeah.
Nice.
Anyways, Boomtown. That's it for me for new shit, boys, for now.
Nice, dude.
Damn.
Yeah,
Soon.
man. I got this small parcel that arrived this week. It was actually the light in a very dark week. When I say very dark, I'm just referring to the fact that load shedding had just caused a lot of stress with work. And this parcel arrived, and it was just perfect timing because it kind of arrived like it had just started raining. The FedEx guy gets to my side. I'm like, yay, I got a new box. Come inside, load shedding kicks in, which means I can't do any work anyway. So I'm like, oh, well, what's a boy to do but open up open a box full of toys from none other than Mr. Ryan Sweeney. That video is actually currently being edited. The aforementioned load shedding has been slowing me down in a terrible way. I've actually, I thought I'd be economical and shoot the unboxing and do some of the review unboxings as well, so that when I can get it all out, it'll happen quickly, which is good. But yes, I got a nice box full of awesome goodies from Mr. Ryan Sweeney, and I don't want to spoil too much, but I do want to say it has given me, in fact, both Ryan and Andrew have given me a bit of a taste for, or not a bit of a taste, like a serious need for classified Joes. I'm paying a lot more attention to them than I was before, let me tell you that much. And I've been having a kind of a Viper week. I've been enjoying my, one of the things that I got out of that box was a Cobra Viper from Classified, and I've just been on a Viper kick. I've pulled out the vintage Viper, I've got my Classified Viper, I even bought the Sideshow Viper here from my folks' place. So I've just been on a Viper kick, and I've been really, really enjoying just messing around with my Cobra Troopers. Like, I didn't think that those guys would be bringing me so much fun, and here I am. I'm still playing with them. I'm still putting them in situations where they're going on little missions with the Viper, and, where they're getting, like, choke slammed by Gung Ho, and it's been great. Actually, who else killed them the other day? I think Duke killed some the other day as well. Hey. So, it's been good times all around. But I don't want to mention anything else, because I got to say, some of these classified toys, oh my word, they are night and day when compared to the earlier releases. It's insane, and I've got a lot of things to say about these toys now. So yeah, I've been making my notes. I've been writing a script, can you believe it, for my reviews. So just look out for those when they drop. I will make a noise about them. Yeah, but that's been me for new stuff, and I couldn't be happier. I'm like set till Christmas. I'm cool.
And just in case anyone was scratching their heads, this is just part of that GI Joburg lingo that we need to actually release a glossary of South African terms to help explain. But Hans in the chats asks, all right, I have to ask, what is load shedding? It's basically a scheduled blackout where the power is cut to effectively shed the load, the overburdened load on South Africa's power grid. Because yes, poor planning and mismanagement of our national power
Corruption.
supply has wound us up in rather hot water, or very cold water, because your geysers switched off, basically, nowadays. Which is unfortunate, but it's how we're dealing with it. So yes, you know that from X time of day to X time of day, you will have no power. So plan accordingly.
Well, you might know. You might know.
Ah, yes. Sometimes they surprise you.
Yeah.
They surprise you. It's like, oh, we were at level 2 in the afternoon, but now we're at level 4. So the entire schedule has changed.
So like,
so you've got
we
to
know
black
it's
out
like
now.
lunchtime, but like make dinner now, and then you can light a fire later to reheat it because screw it, you're not gonna watch your soapies.
Yeah,
end of the world,
it's
ladies and
so
gentlemen.
frustrating. My goodness, it's too much. But at least it's scheduled most of the time, so at least you can
Yes.
kind of plan around that. I mean, obviously, if it ever gets to the point where they can't even schedule the damn things anymore, I mean, then you know we're in trouble.
Yeah, it's like, what does the Joker say? You know, like it's that whole thing about like when there's a plan, nobody panics when there's a plan.
Yeah.
Anyway, so so I've just been having lots of fun with my toys. Sometimes I've been having fun with them in the dark. Take from that what you will, but classifiers are
Yeah,
cool, man.
man. Toys by candlelight is always my jam.
Awesome. It's like, yeah, I've been on sneaking missions, night missions. It's great.
I love the smell of a candle. And I'm not talking scented candles, but just the smell of a wick when it's just been blown out. Or the smell of it burning down. Like, that is the smell of our zombie adventures, Rob. Does that take you back at all?
No, it does. It does. I mean, I like the smell. It's the same. I mean, you don't need scented candles. You just need to blow out a bunch of candles, and I'm fighting zombies again in a Resident Evil Star Wars mashup.
Slash Star. Yeah, I used to play as Boba Fett, and I don't remember. Were you Bosch? Leia and Bosch disguise?
I think so. Yeah, was the only option really.
We would, and this might be old news to long-time listeners, but just anyone scratching their heads at the moment, we would be in the Slave One, or Disney doesn't like that term, does it? Boba Fett's ship, and we set down on some far-off planet and do typical bounty hunter shit, like I don't know, pick up a bounty, make some money, hand over a bounty, make some money, head to the bar, and then at a certain point in the evening, everything kind of gets boarded up. People get off the streets, and we exit the bar, have the door sort of shut behind us, and all of a sudden, like murmurs are heard, and creatures start emerging from the shadows, and all of a sudden we're gonna fight for our lives on our hands, and we have to basically fight from this downtown bar back to the spaceport through hordes of undead. That was a
All
good
by
game.
candlelight, and
Exactly.
with Resident Evil 2 soundtrack. Was it the second one that you could play as the
I
CD?
Such a good soundtrack.
I taped it off the TV.
Oh, you taped it, yes.
Yes, because unlike the Wipeout games, you couldn't put the Resident Evil disc
Yeah, it wasn't red
into
book
a
audio.
hi-fi. So yeah, you didn't get a free soundtrack bonus with your game. But yeah, that didn't stop me from getting the old cassette player, plugging in the wires and recording it. Good stuff.
Did you get the occasional dunk, 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 dunk in it? Or should I say?
No, I would just let the ambience play. I wouldn't
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't
There's no
move the
editing,
character or
like,
anything.
Yeah.
Love
Such
it.
a cool game. Man, I actually saw somebody listed a full collection of Resident Evil 1 figures.
Neat.
On a South African marketplace. I think he wanted 3,000 Rand for them. It was the Cerberus, which is the doggy, and a zombie, and I think, I could be wrong, I think it's the Chimera, those like monkey spider things that are later on in the first game. And there's something else there I just can't recall now. But anyway, it's cool that you bring up Resident Evil. It's just funny
If
how
he's got
like
a
you said,
Leon
something's
and a
in the water.
Claire, I want. Those
He had a
things are
Chris and
so
a Jill, so you didn't have the Leon and Claire. Sorry, dude.
Oh, well, I'd go for it. It's Chris and a Jill with their included zombies. Yes, please. Anyways, once again, totally off the topic. But back onto the topic of GI Joe. Back onto the topic of Outback. Of course. I mean, what episode would be complete without this guy? I know I'm probably the only GI Joe collector in the world who takes clean screws out of his figures and puts rusty screws in. Particularly figures that I use in and out of water. Yeah, I on purpose put rusty screws into their legs. But am I the only guy who loosens knee joints on action figures?
No, I do that.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I'm like, sometimes I get by just oiling them. Sometimes I have to take the joint apart and actually buff them down a little bit.
Which is what
to
I do,
get-
yeah.
Yeah. Because you don't want to be messing with frozen joints. Not on a figure this old. I have snapped many a knee pin that way.
The
So
knee pin
nowadays,
yeah.
if
Sorry,
I
man, yeah.
if it has any kind of serious resistance, I'm like, no, I got to get in there. Got to do some serious loosening of this joint. I'd sooner have buttery, almost loose joints than something that is super stiff and threatens to snap plastic. So yeah, maybe I'm alone, but I certainly like. People are always saying, "Yeah, are the joints stiff?" I'm like, I don't want the joints to be stiff. If someone's trying to sell, like, use it as a selling point for an action figure, I'm like, no. Played with condition, please. Like, preferably not clicky clacky at the knees, you know.
Yeah, no
But-
ninja fighting action.
But that too would be preferable to a frozen joint that I have to then painstakingly work in fear of it snapping.
Also, like, I mean, I have the same fear, but my fear comes more from I have a Duke and I bent his knee once, and then a chip from his quad, like a small chip from his
Worst.
knee, that popped off. That devastated. That was devastating, and ever since that, I've been slowly taking. I'll grab a handful of vintage figures, and if I feel like the joints are too tight, I'll open up the quad section there, and I will very, very gently pull out the calf, the lower leg, and if I can't, then I'll just drop it in some hot water. It helps it a bit. And what I do is I've got a circular file, which I just like do one or two small passes in there, just enough to reduce its friction, and then I like to buff that little, like I like to cut off that little bit of sprue on the inside of the knee joint, and then like to just give it a bit of a loose sand as well with a sponge file, like a 400 or a 600 or whatever. And that's generally
Sometimes
enough.
sanding isn't even necessary. Sometimes it just needs a clean, like
Yeah.
soap and water, to just remove that sort of white residue that creates a kind of an additional layer of thickness.
Yeah, I also, like, I don't know about you, Steve, but I've also found from playing with the vintage figures as well, like I find it almost easier to sometimes pose them when their knees are a lot looser. It's an odd thing because I feel like I'll pose the Joe and it will sort of almost like loosen into its pose better, so it doesn't fall over so easily. I especially find this like outdoors, whereas I find that when the joints are too stiff, they kind of get a bit stuck there, and then yeah, I don't know. It's just something I felt. It could be completely manufactured in my head, but it's just that's just a feeling I get with the sort of looser Joes. Yeah,
It sounds very counterintuitive, but maybe it is a thing.
it does, right? It does seem counterintuitive. That's exactly it. I was also like, but that's weird.
My
Like,
Snake
how is
Eyes
it-
version 3 or whatever is the figure I can pose the easiest.
Yeah,
Because its
I think
knees
there's
are so loose.
I think there's a point. I think there's like when it starts becoming like a super ninja action vintage figure, like too much floppiness, then yeah, I can imagine it gets stupid. But like I've got my Serana, for example, she's got kind of loose knees, and you know, like I posed her up on the table with a few other figures. I think it was Thrasher and whatever's, and I accidentally bumped the table, and all the guys with the more stiff joints fell over, and she was like, okay. She was She's standing tall. Maybe it's just Serana.
Scuba Pete says, my knee joints are starting to freeze up. Could use some new ankle rockers too. I hear you,
Collagen.
brother. I hear you. My back as well. Cheapers. Like, there is no ergonomic position to crane over a child when picking them out of their cot or changing their diapers. It's like it's constant. And huge.
Guys, sorry, I know I was like waxing lyrical about the classified figures, but I keep meaning to talk about that other 6-inch GI Joe line. Something that Super 7's done recently that's like really blown me away is they are teasing a turtle van or the potty wagon. That's pretty amazing, actually, considering like it looks like they want to get into this vehicle action as well.
Well, the
I think that
potty wagon is that's probably the same size as.
his tank.
Oh yeah, definitely his tank. Yeah,
Mm,
absolutely. His tank is
exactly.
quite a compact vehicle, and the party wagon, in order for it to fit 6 essentially, what, like 2 up front and 4 in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And with a 7-inch Ultimates scaling, that's gonna be a considerable bus.
Right?
So yeah,
I'm
the
curious to see what price
possibilities are
point.
endless.
Mm.
But yes, the second wave of the GI Joe Ultimates has been announced. We were supposed to talk about it last week, and we totally forgot. Maybe that's telling, but it is Destro, Baroness, Flint, and Lady J, and that is as complimentary a foursome as you're ever likely to get.
I can finally play out that episode, the Toyland episode. This is awesome.
You can.
Games
You
Master?
can indeed.
Yes, that one.
Destro wasn't involved though.
Yes,
Wait,
he was
wasn't he?
briefly in the beginning.
Yeah, he's sort of like rallying Cobra to try and
It was Cobra Commander.
recover.
Well, I mean,
recover.
now I got 3 out of 4, so that's
Look,
good.
what you can recreate is the Pyramid of Darkness episode where Destro gets a lava. Is it lava? Because Flint and Lady J
A red
take a
substance?
dive into it. A red gloopy substance of indeterminate qualities. Anyways, he gets it on his face and then buffs it off. You can recreate that because it's got the face covered in red gack and the buffing device.
And the
or
buff. I think
polisher,
that's so
whatever.
cool. And I see he's also
Ridiculous.
got a toy for Baroness there as well. Oh wait, that's a missile.
Yeah, and that would break Baroness in 2, unless, well, I don't know, man. One hell of a woman.
Anyway,
Huge dildo.
I
Huge butt plug. Huge teddy bear. Sorry, I'm stuck in the toilet.
I will be honest. The first wave of this, I mean, you heard my thoughts, and I think it's pretty rad, and it's a pretty niche collection of toys, and I like the direction they're going in, and whatever's. Wave 2 is definitely calling to my wallet, though. Yeah, it's definitely like singing that siren song. Maybe it's the magical combination of having Lady J and Flint, as well as Destro and the Baroness in the set. Maybe it's just because.
Can you say foursome?
Can you say foursome combo? I think it's also all the Easter eggs that are included here. I mean, the first wave kind of, hinted at that, but the second wave seems so cool. I mean, you mentioned Destro's whole head buffing situation. I see he's got changeable wrist rockets. He's got that big. He's got that massive bazooka. He's got that little control device. I can't recall where that's from, but I do recall seeing that in the show, which is really amazing. The Baroness is just loaded with all the good stuff. And Flint's got. There was one small thing that Flint came with that I thought was quite a good laugh. I think it was that little communicator. I seem to recall an episode using that for something specific.
What?
I think it was
Not
that.
the damn shovel? We need to get clarification on where that shovel is from.
Oh yeah, we do need to check on where that shovel's from. But
I'm
I just
quite
thought
tickled
it was really
that they've got Baroness's first comic book appearance weapon, because she and a whole bunch of sort of Cobra officers in Mufti have camera and recording equipment that are actually weapons, and so it doesn't look like a camera at all. But this weird sort of sci-fi gun-looking thing was supposed to be her camera equipment. I mean, it's a lovely, lovely inclusion. Though, if you're a stickler, you'd know that Baroness is in civies at that point. So whatever, don't nitpick, Stephen. And also, I'm not a fan of that assault rifle that they include with her, because I know that
Oh.
comes from the modern era, not the modern era, the new sculpt era.
Oh, it's on the 25th anniversary as well. With
And
that
then
color
they
scheme.
started using for the 25th anniversary, but it's a poor substitute for her very much more signature, like
Dragunov.
1984. No, it's not a Dragunov. Whatever it is, it's uniquely Baroness's. And that
Oh, I know what
sculpt
you're
has
talking
obviously
about,
died
sorry.
of death. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
her original rifle. As
I
big as
still
it
think that's
is,
gonna. I was gonna say I think that's gonna come with a grayer version of Baroness because this is blue Baroness. So I think when they release black Baroness, I think that gun will come with though.
because it also
Sure on
paints
that.
her as a sniper, which is a cool use for Baroness. I'd love to see her behind the scope of a long gun because, you know, female sniper just works for me, particularly if it's a baddie. And Lady J's got her camera. Fantastic.
Right?
I mean, yeah, why not? It's totally like accurate to the 1985 figure, except it's not lime green. What is
Also,
curious is that she comes with 2 alternate heads. So she's got 3 heads in the box, but none of them have the cap. Missed opportunity there, maybe. If you
Yeah,
are a stickler for her toy appearance.
Well,
Yeah,
I
it's
mean, these are
interesting.
meant to be cartoon appearance, though. So I mean, the fact she
They
doesn't
draw
have the
from
cap on-
every. No, but they do draw from every iteration. For instance, Flint has his laser pistol that he would be seen using on the show. He's obviously got the standard XMLR laser rifle, but he also comes with the pump. He's got his trench gun, his shotgun, which is absolutely exclusive to his toy and his comic book appearances. But I don't think he ever used it in the cartoon.
Yeah,
Not
also,
even
I
in
think they're leaning
commercials.
more towards cartoon than they are
Yeah.
comics, though. So if
sure.
there's a design choice that can favor cartoon over comics, they'll do it.
Mhm.
They'll still nod towards, oh, you know, they came with the stuff, but this is the cartoon version.
For
I also
instance,
think-
Destro has the Atari sort of joystick controller to control
That he
Duke,
controls Duke.
Yes, there. That's what it is for. Thank you.
but you're going to need 2 of them if you want Cobra Commander to have a go as well. But then again,
Uh-oh.
you're going to have to then have, what's his name? Ragnarok? What's the guy's name? Big
I don't remember
barbarian
the
dude.
character's name.
Yeah.
Conan.
Yeah.
Also, I'm super happy to see that Lady J has finally been given her sort of MacGuffin in weapon form. It's like the classified
she
line
comes
kind
with
of.
So many tips.
It's so cool. It's like the classified line, I feel, did a very good thing with that. I thought it was so rad. It was like, yeah, you know, she's got like 2 spear tips and like the grappling spear tip or whatever. But like looking at this, I was like, damn, Super7, like you guys really went the extra mile. I mean, you gave us everything pretty much. It's amazing. It's like, I can't believe it's taken this long for us to get like Lady J that's like fully featured, if that makes sense. Like she's got all of the cool stuff, you know, from her cartoon appearance. It's just random. Like
Hans is saving our ass in the chats. The barbarian dude's name was Rama.
Rama.
Ramar.
And the cool thing is, like, I know there's a lot of guys that are like maybe gonna turn their nose up to this line, and I mean, I get that. If it's not your bag, it's not your bag. But if I look at this is like, well, they're $45 or $50 if I'm not mistaken. That's a pretty good price for an accessory pack that comes with a cool figure. If you want to look at it that way, I'm not saying it's that. I personally like these. I like the aesthetic. I'm quite a fan of them. It's just you know, I'm also a fan of eating and paying the rent, so I've got to figure out
a plan. Look,
Yeah.
okay, give me a likelihood, a 1 out of 10 likelihood of you getting one of these.
One of the ones that we're looking at here, I would say it's a 4 out of 10 likelihood.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure you guys can guess
out
who.
of the full 8.
Out of the full 8,
Bat,
yeah, actually.
because he works for both scales.
Yeah, the bat is amazing, like just because it's the bat. But this Lady J just ticks the right boxes for me. The only one I
Oh.
actually like, the one that I'm like sort of the coldest on is actually the Baroness, but that's just because I don't like blue and yellow Baroness. I've never warmed to that look. I just don't love it. And Celia's even like looked at it and gone, she doesn't have the sexiness that Baroness needs. And I'm like, yeah, she's right. She's very right with that. But hey, you're not buying these because they're supposed to be sexy. You're buying them because they're great representations of the Sunbow show.
Though if you are buying them because they're meant to be sexy, that's okay too. For real, man. No
Yeah. Yeah,
sexiness
sorry, I
shaming
just
here on GI Joburg.
oh yeah,
What
no,
you do
it's
with
not
your
even a
plastic
shaming
action
thing.
figures after
It's
dark is up to
it's your
you.
business.
Hmm.
Uh also, yeah, no, it's actually sorry, I'm just gushing over that Lady J, okay? I just really dig it. And I also love seeing Destro with a sort of a menacing laugh portrait, for his.
Would you buy a Baroness and Lady J in their Hooded Cobra appearances?
Oh, totally. Because that's for me personally, that's such a cool episode. That was one of the first episodes of G.I. Joe I ever watched. If I'm not mistaken, I think that is the first episode of G.I. Joe I ever watched. So, yeah.
Mommy, I want that action figure. With the
Yeah, I
plunging
wonder
white
how they'll do it
neckline.
though. If they ever do it.
Uh,
It's a
Look,
bit
they've
awkward
got a
with the dress
ways
and
to go,
everything.
but they seemed. What's the guy's name? I think his name's Rob from Super7. Seemed confident that like this line has legs, man. They got big plans for this. This is a 10-year plus like plan that they
Wow.
are enacting. So the roster will run pretty deep if it gets
Well,
the support that it needs, I guess. I
mm.
mean, this is still like made to order. So get those orders in if you want a piece of the action.
And also, like, if it's anything like the Ninja Turtles, and this is not to dissuade people, and I may have said this in an episode before, but with the Ninja Turtles, they did reissue the first two waves because a lot of people felt that they missed out on them, and so they did reissue them. And I think it's just because of their popularity, and it is the Ninja Turtles. I don't know if we're gonna get the same mercy for the GI Joe line from Super 7. To be
Hmm.
fair,
And just to
um,
clarify, these
mm,
are Super 7's Ultimates, which are scaled at 7 inches and not 6, which is
mm,
infuriating to a lot of collectors because we all want our toys to play nicely together. But this is aimed at being compatible with Super 7's other Ultimates lines, like Silverhawks, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So these properties will all scale nicely together and will probably have a shared aesthetic. Whereas Classified, I'm sure we can all agree, has a more modern era toy aesthetic. Whereas this is a throwback. This is like the ultimate realizations of the cartoon appearances. Anyways,
mm,
let's move the agenda along, shall we, gents?
totally.
To the most self-indulgent section of all.
Uh
Robbie,
Sure.
I believe you're sitting on a great old list of listener memories that have been shared with us. Let's crack that one open.
Heck yeah. Cool. Well, first up, we have a few memories from YouTube. Some people were kind enough to comment and say what they've enjoyed most from our 10 years. From Gigashock 237 Wild, they said Blood on the Water seems to stand out for them, especially Major Blood's comment to Recondo. You remind me a lot of someone I used to know. Oh, yeah? Who's that? Me. Yeah, it's good. It's good dialogue, Stephen. It's good dialogue.
Well, that's totally cribbing that notion from the Dark Knight that you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself as the villain. Um, and that's true of Major Blood. I think Major Blood is a little bit older, more seasoned. He's seen the life, and he sees in Recondo an idealistic, proud hero who's trying to do the right thing. And Blood's, he's seen the ugly side enough to know that he just wants to be in it for himself from now on, regardless of what that means. He'll make deals with the devil. He'll work for Cobra. He'll work for anyone if the price is right. So he's like, nah, boy, you remind me of me, about 15 years ago when I still gave a shit. So why don't you join me? That's kind of his end game. He wants to corrupt the youth. Yeah, I'm glad that dialogue stuck with you. Thank you very much, Gigashock.
And someone else who also really enjoyed some dialogue was Brian705, also on YouTube. A GI Joburg memory that sticks out is watching the Atlantis Factor and the first part of Blazing Sand with my sister and dad. And then we were eagerly waiting for the last two parts to come out. I know that the three of us really remember some of Roblox's various quips like, Cobra in my kitchen again, eat this! Thanks for all the great content that you guys have made over the years. Yo, Joe!
Where's that t-shirt, Paul?
Cobra in my kitchen again. Yeah. Damn, man.
Cobra
And
in my
Fireman
kitchen
Jump.
again! Fireman
Yeah.
jump. And no parachute. Oh, man. Yeah, back in the day, I used to do fun things like that. Now I take myself way too seriously. Like I'm trying to make some kind of new art form or something. Like, yeah, man, screw Hollywood. I'm just going to do play motion. People are going to love it. But anyways, let me not be so self-deprecating. I freaking love the body of work that we sit on top of. In an ideal world, I'd do this professionally and be able to crank out like, I don't know, maybe a 5-minute short once a week. But it's not the case, certainly at the moment.
I had such a cool moment with that. If I can just take 2 seconds, I was
Go for it.
I was at the Nexus for a meeting, and as it is, I was just chatting to some of the guys there, and it just came out that when I went, oh, yeah, that's right. When I went to go and pick up my new microphone, and they were like, "Oh, what do you do with the microphone?" I'm like, "We have this podcast," and they're like, "Oh, cool. What podcast?" GI Joburg, and they're like, "Oh, that's really awesome. How long have you guys been going for?" It's like, "Oh, well, 10 years." you know?
And you still haven't
Really?
heard of
Oh my
us?
God.
Boo.
Like, really? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, and we have this YouTube channel as well. If you want to, you can check out the podcast on YouTube as well if you don't do any, pod streaming sites or podcatchers. And like, oh, wow. And then they're like, they saw the play motion stuff. So like, oh, cool. It's like, are these reviews? And I'm like, no, this is better. This is where we like, play with our toys in front of camera. And they're like, oh, awesome. And they're like, which one should we watch? And I'm like, well, I chose Bad Luck Lady because it's like, I find like Bad Luck Lady is a good entry point for a lot of people if they're non-Joe fans, and they love the shit out of it. Like, I got a message like 2 days afterwards going, okay, we just watched everything. And they loved it. And it's like, that's so rad. And she, and Cleo was just actually saying to me, she's like, I love how the voice acting is not cringy. And like, that means a lot to me because like, I know how much effort we put in to make sure that, the voices come through really well. And I know that we use like talent from all over the place, whether it be fellow Berg Force members or, ourselves or our spouses or, and it was cool to hear that. So yeah, I just thought I'd add to that. Because we do have a cool
Got
body
some
of
lovely
stuff.
engagement from Hans in the chats. He's saying that, in my mind, Blood wasn't trying to corrupt Recondo despite appearing totally mercenary. Blood is lonely and would like someone to share his view. Bang on, yeah. Let me not undersell Blood's complexities. At that point, he was also trying to negotiate himself out of a sticky situation. He's caught, he's tied up, he's got a gun to him. Like, he's trying to find any way out of the situation, and that includes appealing to Rekondo's greed or any kind of scruples that he might have. But yeah, also, it is a lonely life, I'm sure. And indeed, Blood is disappointed in himself. He let the trials break him. I mean, he writes poetry that speaks of great pain and depth, or great disillusionment and being misled. I mean, like, it was always played up in the comic books, at least, that he believed himself to be a better poet than he actually was. And Cobra Commander, well, the way Larry Hama would script Cobra Commander was almost poetic himself, and great, like, kind of literary knowledge, who mocked that Blood was so bad that he thought Proust rhymes with Faust. Oh dear. That's a little bit of a highbrow gag. Anyways, moving on.
So the next two comments on YouTube both focus more on our Joe-Con videos. First up is Down Noir. My favorite memories of Joburg was the video series you did over your trip to America for Joe-Con. I can really feel the excitement and joy coming from you guys as you explore the great American plains while en route to Joe-Con. As with most joyful things, there's a tinge of sadness as well, as all wonderful experiences can only exist as memories, and the road trip couldn't last forever. The footage from JoeCon really illustrated how friendly and family-like the Joe community is.
Thank
Hell
you
yeah.
very much, Del Noir. Have you guys ever revisited those videos?
Yeah.
Since editing them and watching them a couple of times, no, not yet.
A couple of months ago, I got Celia to sit through them with me. So she could like.
Wow,
You
man.
forced her to
That
sit
was the
through
only
them.
way I could get her to meet you guys, technically. Like, and
Yeah,
because
true.
of like lockdown and all that crap. So
Mm.
yeah,
These are
that
my
was like
friends,
yeah,
girlfriend.
these are my friends.
I have real friends. I don't just talk to a computer on my own for 2 hours at a time.
Well,
Oh,
at least you
gee.
know that I don't. I mean,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's true. It's true. Tesso's Wrath says best Joburg memory is probably when I first watched the JoeCon videos. I just had a similar experience on a smaller scale, going to Comic Con for the first time after years of wanting to go. And after seeing the JoeCon videos, I went to a small Joe convention and started my Ara collection there.
Sweet. Bitten by the
That's
bug. May it
heck
grow
yeah.
and grow.
That's so
Yeah.
cool
Look,
to know that someone is inspired to kind of like go to their own convention and kind of like start their own collecting because they saw our videos.
yeah,
I think
it's-
that's really cool.
well, where else are you ever going to experience your hobby with like-minded individuals in the flesh? Like, sure, we can all jump on these online communities, but you have to come to a convention in order to like really get to grips with the community, like physically get to grips with them. It was certainly the first time we met reams and reams of amazing people. Like the the final JoeCon was, yeah, just one of those watershed moments that kind of really peeled back the lens, and we were like, oh, these other people on the side, on across the ether, like the other side of the looking glass, they're real people. What an elation to be in their presence.
and they're like, and they're just like us, you know.
I could
That was
name
cool.
names, but I'm going to stop short of doing a long-winded list by just naming one. And it's very timeless. It's the first time we ever met Brian Lower, HCC 788, for the first time. And what a wonderful moment that was, because anyone in the GI Joe community who had been regularly watching his reviews has a relationship with this man. We have an idea of who he is, and to get the opportunity to meet him face to face, the reason I bring him up specifically is because he's recently resurfaced, and I am overjoyed to see videos from HCC. He's currently authoring a vlog as he does a road trip across the country, visiting some of the same places we visited, gents. He was at the Washington Memorial, like in the very spot we stood, gents. So wonderful to see our pal. I would urge anyone listening to this to check out his channel. He's currently hoping to do a charity drive. It's that time of year, folks, and I don't know if you recall, but in the past he's always joined forces with Timmer and done a charity drive where someone can donate to any child benefiting charity. Just show them proof of that donation, and they will go into a lucky draw. I think last year Timmer was raffling a Tiger Force Psych Out. Paul would be licking his chops, except I already helped him get one in the past.
Yeah.
Ticked that box. If it was a Tiger Force Outback this year, Timmer, now you're talking.
But still, it's a good cause.
Yep, and well, it's wonderful to see Hoodie back in the saddle.
Has he still got that that thing where you can sort of donate to his trip? Like
Oh yes,
where you
yeah.
can cool.
If you'd like to sponsor him a tank of gas, that would also be, or anything that you can spare to help him on his trip, that would be amazing. He's undertaken this trip mainly as a journey of healing. He's gone through a pretty rough year, and I can only imagine the lead up to it was pretty rough as well. So he's taken to the road to just get some space, some perspective, let me not put too much on it, but if you are in a position to help and you'd like to help out an old friend, his PayPal details will be in the description below. And do visit his
Boom.
channel to get the scoop on what he's up to. Robbie, another glowing bit of praise, if you please.
So we're moving on to Facebook now. Justin B. Hopkins had this to say: "The flag in the ocean made me want to play with my toys again. The TTBP being loaded in the ocean made me buy a TTBP. Cobra Don't Surf made me buy the Manta and that silly square thing. Renegades made me buy a Buzzball. From a financial POV, I should probably stop watching your videos for a while, but I'm not going to."
Nice. You're welcome, Justin. Well, look, I hope you get lots of joy out of those toys. Anything that we bring to the screen, it's after a serious vetting process of play. So we just want to show the very best aspects of the coolest toys ever created in the history of the world. This is our sworn mission. So yeah, the Manta and the Buzzball, shit. I'm glad we've allowed you to develop an appreciation for those gems. All of this stuff has merit. You just gotta sometimes look past some things.
Just gotta find it. Find your favorite toys, and yeah, it's cool. We can help people find those.
He hasn't bought a scoop yet, so we better get on that.
That's not working. That's not working yet. I need to talk more
Everybody
about
should have a scoop.
Darren
A scoop
Cobb.
review, at least. Come on.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'll if I can survive this heat, I'll definitely get on that. I was waiting for Ice Cream Soldier, but he's obviously never gonna come. So I will.
2032, my friend. 2032.
2032. Okay. So Darren Cobb says, "As to my Joburg memories, so many enjoyable hours traversing to work, listening to the podcast, and reliving my childhood watching the play motion vids. It's been great learning how others played with the figures I had, the stories they created for their versions of the characters, and of course, without this fine community, I would never have learned that while knowing is half the battle, the other half is not knowing."
That is
Course.
quite profound. I love that. That is wow. Thank you, Darren.
I'm gonna jump in with MC DJ ACDC, who loves our The Race play motion. It was a one shot. It's actually dedicated to him because I know that his favorite character is Copperhead. So it was dying to be done, and certainly lovely to give that file card quote of his a little bit more backstory. I mean, it's definitely Gung Ho who's talking about him, and so there must have been some brushing between those two men, and it might as well have been a breakneck boat race down the bayou, ending in a bit of a stalemate. But hopefully, it's a jump-on point for a further adventure. And Copperhead will feature in a little chat that I have queued up post-birthday. Might even be a topic of discussion in a little birthday unboxing. So stay tuned, MC, and any fans of this particular fan boat operating gambling man. He's a lot of untapped potential. And I feel like pairing him up with the water moccasin has somewhat hemmed him into a place that he needs to defy those boundaries. Like he's not just a boat driver. Like he's an interesting operative. He's not a dreadnought, but he almost could have been. Maybe he doesn't want to mix with those scumbags. He's like, nah, forget about it. Wait a minute, that was Aussie. Forget about it. Help me. How did I speak with Copperhead?
You gave him a bit of a
drawl.
Drawl, yeah.
Yeah, don't mind if I do. Something like that.
Yeah, that's closer.
Hans has got a quote for me to read. Cheers, brother. I don't feel alive unless I'm getting a little action. Nice. Thanks, bro. Anywho, yeah, Copperhead.
Who doesn't?
Awesome. Let's continue.
So Christian Gassner says his favorite
we know
Joburg.
him.
Gaz.
Gaz.
The real identity of Benny.
What are they? Sorry.
Spaceman.
Has to be the USS flag at sea, but there was that moment in that very same series of Roblox flying the hovercraft while chasing down a thunder machine. Those Roblox rhyming one-liners were priceless. Though there were so many great moments, how could one just pick one? I really wish I had known you all as a kid. I could only imagine what Joe Ventures we could have come up with. So
I echo that
true.
sentiment. Anyone who is kind of, I suppose, our inner circle, and anyone who's listening to this, really, I think your angle on toys is primarily a sort of the angle of playing with them. You know, that is definitely GI Joburg's approach. And Christian, yeah, dude, I heartily agree. We would have had the most epic playtimes, and that goes for everyone listening to this. Like, it's a crying shame that we didn't all grow up in the same village with access to each other's collections, because man, the times we would have had.
We would have got nothing done.
As for the one-liners, now I have pretty much fully written the scripts, and then I kick them over to Paul to say, "Dude, you need to inject some comedy into this stuff." And his penchant for rhymes really comes out with Roadblock. Like, he gave me a bunch of just they were just cold lines. They're kind of in a vacuum. Just like, this is a cool 2-line rhyme. I don't know, what would you call it? A couplet? Yeah, rhyming. Is it a rhyming couplet? Yeah, you know, just about a dozen rhyming couplets that Roadblock could just spout. I'm like, okay, I think I'll use all of them. Just
because I was
wedge them in anywhere there's an available spot. Anytime Roadblock is even tangentially on screen, you just got his voiceover going like, "There's something in the sky. It's coming in high. If it sees us, we're all gonna die." Shit like that.
yeah, it was like ridiculous stuff like that. I really like tapped into Sunbow there.
Yeah,
as
you
you should.
relentless.
But we had fun with that, and that's something that that is cool. You know, is that we do actually, you know, collaborate a lot on this stuff, and it's awesome. You know.
Well,
Like,
if it was any other character, it might have seemed like they were being wedged in a little bit artificially, shall we say. But when it's Roadblock, he's just this wall-to-wall wall of sound. You know? Oh, man. If I don't clear those cliffs, I want to make some nasty hieroglyphs.
wow, that's actually pretty good.
Yeah, that was mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I like it.
My only one.
Oh, well, I'm sure you'll come up with more.
Dude,
you know,
don't sell yourself
more.
short on that though, because
Hieroglyphs is a bit highbrow. I was like, would he really say this?
No, it's totally perfect, because that's the kind of thing that, like, if we were working for Sunbow, for example, and we put that line in, and then, you know, they run it past like some educational people or whatever, because they don't want to make the animation, the cartoon seem like it's just a toy ad. They would have been like, "Oh, hieroglyphs. That's an expensive word on Jeopardy." You know, like,
Oh,
you know
man.
what I mean?
I think I've just remembered one of yours, Paul, that I particularly liked. I'm good looking, I love cooking, and you Cobra fools better be booking.
Oh god, no, that
Class.
better be booking. Dude, there's a thing in with Airtight that I loved. I think it's in, is it Atlantis Factor that it happens in? And it's just like when they're building the HQ, and Airtight comes with the chair, and he moves it, and he's like, hee hee hee. I love that. I don't know why that kills me. I like.
Well, he's
just
poking his head around the corner as Duke falls off his chair. And
Yeah.
then there's a whip pan to Shipwreck, who had just been shackling a Cobra Trooper. And this is the one and only appearance of my father's voice talents. I recorded him do a rather gruff laugh, and I thought that was perfect for Shipwreck. So, anyone care to listen back to Atlantis Factor Part 5 at that particular point? Yeah, you'll be hearing good old KCJ. That's Mr. Jubba to you. Rob, please continue, brother.
So Range Viper Rob, his favorite memories was there was a 4 or 5 episode stretch when Steve chose Zartan for everything, including best animal trainer, thus betraying his O-ring loyalties. He recalls me, Rob, calling him, well, it's Rob, not Range Viper Rob, but me, Rob, calling him out, but he was always able to sway Paul. As always, looking forward to the next podcast.
Oh, thanks, Rob. And
Aw.
thanks, Rob.
Hey.
Yeah, man. Rob, we need to do a playthrough of, firstly, the 1992 arcade cabinet game, and maybe some excerpts of Rise of Cobra. I'm not interested in doing a playthrough of Operation Blackout, but maybe
Not a
I could have
chance.
my arm twisted. I don't know. I feel like our podcast that we recorded on the subject pretty much was a playthrough. Anyways.
If you want, I'd almost go as far as to say that there's a program called RetroArch, which you can now get on Steam. How you get your hands on the ROM is totally up to you. I can't encourage people to play illegally acquired software. However, it does allow you to play multiplayer arcade games online. So if you ever want to try 4-player GI Joe the arcade, yo, Joe!
All right. Get hold of that
Yeah.
Cujo fool. Let's see how good he is at rail shooters, because we got a foursome right here. I mean, a
Hey.
full play. Not a
Shotgun Scarlet or Snake Eyes, please.
totally makes a difference.
To me, it does. I don't want to be Roadblock or Duke.
All right, I'll be Duke. God damn it. What else you got, Robbie, my man?
Okay, so I have one short one and one long one. Cool. So these are now from the emails. Chris Muir says, when you review the catalogs I've looked through time and time again in the day. So many memories came back when you started these reviews.
Chris refers specifically to the Benelux catalogs, which we still have to do the final part to. We'll get around to it
could you?
eventually. I know, right? But yeah, Chris is from the Benelux region. I believe he's from the Netherlands. So lucky fish, he had those images. He had the actual catalogs to salivate over back in the day. I mean, how you can resist G.I. Joe as a toy line if you had access to those catalogs, I don't know. I think I would have just had to have absolutely every item in those catalogs. In fact, it is something that I've made my personal mission right now to like just have the toys featured in those catalogs, because even the motorized vehicle packs from 1988 get some serious shine in those catalogs. If you are scratching your head and don't know what I'm talking about, once again, link in the description below. Check out our very at length YouTube presentations of those catalogs. You will not regret it. It's with the wonderful gents from Talking Joe, or should say the OGs from Talking Joe, because gosh, there are a lot of us now. But yeah, Chief and Ben joined us on those little kind of adventures into those beautiful pieces of paperwork. And what a time. Yeah, very inspiring stuff. Great pictures. Thank you, Chris.
Heck yeah. And then finally, we have Dan Zemansky with he has many favorite moments, I think. There are at least 12 of them. First up, he really enjoyed the card art, box art showdowns. They brought so many things to light that I had never considered regarding content I was all too familiar with. Number 2, you bring appreciation and unprecedented love for neon 90s figures. At first I was like, what? Now I get it and appreciate the perspective you bring towards them. And you might have even swayed me here and there, just not on Firefly. Sorry, Steve.
Oh,
That's one of Gary V's favorites. Sorry.
What, V2?
Yeah, yeah.
Lime green. Hey man, it's got something. It might not be Firefly to most people, but it's definitely got something. Anyways, Dan, one of the OGs, thank you, bro. But please continue, Rob.
Hell yeah. Number 3, he actually appreciated the early episode audio issues and Paul's animal companion, the cricket.
Oh man, they're virtually unlistenable. Like anyone listening to this who's gone through our back catalog, I salute you. That's showing some serious love because it's a chore. It's hard. We've improved a little bit, but in terms of getting studio quality, that just ain't our bag, man. We are always going to be in remote locations to one another. StreamYard has offered us a lovely platform, certainly better than what we used to use, which
Yeah, I
was
wish we
Skype.
had this like years ago.
hmm But yeah, look, it's constant evolution. I'm still using the same shitty mic I've had for I think 6 years now. But
And I'm
birthday
not.
on
Yes.
Friday. Birthday on
Hey,
Friday.
soon we're all gonna be
Nice.
upgraded. Number 4, the great DJ gun debate. Is DJ's gun really cool? I still say no.
Yeah, Cujo loved it. Paul, I think you liked it.
Yeah, I dig it.
I do not.
Mhm.
But hey, it is what it is. It's weird.
Number 5, Cujo's teased to revisit a topic for another day that never seemed to ever materialize. Would love to see a compilation episode or a deep dive on all those topics.
Or just a supercut of like Cujo
All of
saying,
them.
I'm not going to get into that right now. I seem to recall him saying that a lot.
Something to look into. Number 6, an early dogfight episode. I cannot recall the episode number. It was an early hook that kept me coming back for more.
We each promoted a jet, as I recall. Robert was
Yes.
the Hurricane for you. Paul, I think you were the Night Raven. And I was the Sky Striker.
Hey.
Surprise, surprise.
Damn,
I
I
don't
wish I
think
could
we got a
remember that.
definitive victory out of that. I mean, we could have put it to a poll, but the problem with polls
It
is
was so
people vote.
early, though. I
Yeah,
don't think we
true.
even thought to do polls back then.
I don't
I
even
didn't
think we
think
had the means to really do them.
and I don't think we had the listenership. Like,
Yeah.
it was in the early teens or maybe even the 20s, but yeah, it's been a very recent thing, like actually being known as an entity. I find. I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm probably wrong. But for a long time, it was we were kind of podcasting into the void, just like, oh, we're just doing this for ourselves. Don't think anyone actually listens. Mhm.
Apparently they did. Number 7, your Silver Mirage review. Yes, I may be a bit biased on this, but the review was so well done. It truly found a perfect home and a rightful owner.
Now Dan got me that Silver Mirage, but he went above and beyond the Call of Duty in that he gave me a completely disassembled Silver Mirage. And those of you who are familiar with the Silver Mirage know exactly how many parts that is. It is a model kit. Okay? Make no mistake about it. It is very detailed. He included a set of blueprints. So effectively, he gave me the experience of making one of these as it would have gone back in the day. So the least I could do was whip up a review as soon as possible, which had me shooting Silver Mirage with 1985 Commando Snake Eyes on the unfinished bridge in the middle of Cape Town, Rob.
Oh.
And I cycled there in the dead of night on my bike and kind of cycled through the barriers, hopped over between the two unfinished highways. It was some guerrilla filmmaking, man. Dodgy.
That sounds like a crazy experience.
Oh, well, it's worth it. Get that shot on an elevated freeway at night overlooking Cape Town.
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Number 8, anytime you made me pause for a top 5, top 10, or definitive sculpt topics so I could compare my answers with each of yours.
Nice. Dan was the first person to put me onto the idea of someone actually doing that. I hope it is done because I love the collaboration. I love the fact that anytime we do a top 10, everyone out there in listener land, we've all got opinions. You guys are hopefully constantly comparing what you would have picked in a similar situation. So all of our hypotheticals, it tickles me no end to know that people take these on and compile their own lists. Please do. That's what we're here to do, stimulate conversation and dialogue and debate, inner turmoil within yourself.
Number 9 of 12. Paul's Storm of Shadow voice cracks me up every time.
I'm so glad to hear it. It's not my best one. Thank you.
Yeah, do you want to have another crack?
Number 10, Hit and Run versus Alpine debate with HCC 788. Gaius delivered a swift blow by emerging from the water with H&R camo face paint. Hashtag dedication. You represented the rightful winner well, Stephen.
Thanks, Dan. He refers to me as Gaius Baltar. Little Battlestar
From
Galactica.
Battlestar.
Yeah, exactly. I think the remake. I once used
Definitely
to
the
have
remake.
long curly hair a long time
did.
ago.
That's how you had that when I met you. I think you were doing.
It
Were you
was a
doing High
lot
School
longer,
Musical?
mate. This is in my varsity days. I'm not going to dig up a picture, but yeah, it was sort of down to my. I don't know. My fringe was certainly down past my neck. So that gives you an idea of the length. Anyways, whatever. It's my Gaius Baltar days before I got the handle.
Number 11, getting a chance to meet in Chattanooga, purchase Joe items from a car boot
dude.
sale, and tossing 12-inch dollies with parachutes from a multi-story parking garage with Rob Walsh and Bart Simon.
That was
Yeah,
great.
man. And that was included, or bits and pieces of it at least, in part 2 of our Road to JoeCon. So if you want to see us chucking extremely expensive prototype GI Joe 12-inch figures off the top of a car park, yeah, wild times, man.
Go
And
check
that
it
also
out.
opens with Word Burglar calling you up on stage, Rob, so he can compose a rap on the spot about Scoop.
Hell
Telling
yeah.
you, man, guy's a genius.
Crazy times, crazy times. And finally, from Dan, number 12, you guys fixed Battle Force 2000 in episode 80. Drop the mic.
Boom.
Sweet. I should remind myself of what we said. But that means dealing with crappy audio. You can't win.
Sorry about that.
Thanks for
I
playing,
appreciate that
guys.
everyone, that sort of wrote in and shared the times that you really enjoyed. I mean, I think our best times are every time we get together and, chat to each other. And I think, may they keep on coming.
Thank you, Ryan.
The best for him was the flag review and Paul's description of Keelhaul.
Badass mother clucker.
No, one handsome motherfucker.
One handsome mother clucker. Yeah.
Which got me in hot water, Paul.
It
Jesus.
did.
Someone
That's why I have
commented
to
rather
share it.
strongly. They were like, you could have given us a language warning in your toy review. I mean, I didn't want to censor you, bro, because that's not what we're about in GI Joburg. We let the F-bombs fly as frequently as we feel necessary. But someone did comment, and that's why I wrote, what was it? Explicit opinions warning in the title. Yeah. Thanks a bunch.
And Paul saying whatever's is the best thing about GI Joburg, apparently. According to Matthew Comstock.
Followed by fight me.
Okay. Now you guys are just taking the piss. Whatever's.
Whatever's.
Thanks, everyone. I mean, as I said, this was posted a while back, but we've finally gotten around to getting them out because I've finally gotten over myself. And yeah, 10 years, let's do a little victory dance. Well done, boys. This has been so vital to even my mental well-being. I go through life and my day-to-day things and toy hunts and bits and bobs of news and other things that I've absorbed from other podcasts. I'm constantly storing up stuff that I want to talk about week to week. And this podcast provides such a great uncorking. Because, yeah, absolutely. We walk around with our opinions bottled up in our brains all day, every day, continually. Man, I can't recommend it highly enough for everyone to have a podcast or a blog or a YouTube channel. Even if no one watches it. Even if it's just a journal entry. So important. But I'm sure I've said that on the record before. I'm just grateful that I have this platform. The fact that people actually listen to this stuff, bonus. So
Heck
this is
yeah.
a lovely thank you from me to everyone out there who's joined us on these escapades through thick or thin. Yep. Here's to another 10 years, boys.
Hell
Boom.
yeah. 2032.
2031. That
31.
one.
And can
Nice.
I just want to just throw in a few things as well, because that's what
Ooh,
I do apparently.
because that's what Paul does.
In the time that
What
we've
do you
been
mean? I
doing
can't
GI
talk alone, like soliloquy this entire podcast? Monologue it? It's not just the S Jubs show.
Not just you.
Carry on, brother.
since we've been doing this podcast, we've seen some very cool. Well, we've met some really awesome people, and and I mean, you guys have just been through some of the awesome people that we've met. But those awesome people have also been doing some very interesting things. For starters, the Chaplain's Motorpod, that is Gary Viola's podcast, which is now currently out there, which is pretty cool. Matt, as in Matthew Comstock Swordsman, he's been doing a toy blog. He's been doing a GI Joe blog on the restoration of his GI Joe stuff, which is pretty cool. And I've been keeping an eye on it and getting the blow by blow when he posts stuff, which has been really awesome. It's on WordPress. And yeah, we've just seen, I mean, Ryan, you have gone into collecting your classifieds. I mean, I personally think you're quite instrumental, or that your contributions were quite instrumental in the success of the RoboSkull. Because yeah, you've done a lot, and we've just seen so many cool people and met so many cool people because of this podcast that are just doing so many cool things as well. And if you're not doing cool stuff, that's fine. It's not like you don't have to. It's cool to see guys like also Chris McLeod. He's also involved with Skeletron and being able to also like with HCC, all the cool stuff that he's done with regards to the Cobra Convergence. And yeah, we've just had a lot of fun with the show. And I just want to just give a shout out to some of these peeps. And there's more. There's like way more out there. I think JD Onesie, JD Onesie, him and Brian Hatch, they've got their show that they do. It's been
General
mad.
Geekery.
Yeah, I've had
Bart
and Jim with me on Some Assembly Required, which I will be pulling back into circulation now that Bart is back home and we can sort of do things a little bit better. And now that my studio is a little bit better now. Just putting that out there. Anyway, enough of me. Rob, please say something. Rescue me, Rob. Say you love Scoop.
Scoop is pretty cool there.
It's pretty cool.
Oh, it's so hot. Rob's put his fan on. All
Oh
right,
shit! Sorry, I forgot to switch it off.
No, by all means, please be cool.
No, sorry.
Crack a window, boys. Crack a bottle and toast
Crack
to
a fart.
That too.
Toast to a beautiful friendship. Thanks for joining us once again. If you want to get a hold of GI Joburg, easiest way to do is through any of your socials, be it Insta, Twitter, Facebook, or if you want to send us an email, by all means, arealsouthafricanhero@gmail.com. We also have a patron. If you want to listen to these podcasts a full 24 hours early and have a very svelty invite to be in our live studio audience, it'll cost you only $3 a month. That's a
Or
cup
more,
of coffee
if you prefer.
split between 3 guys. So
Heck yeah.
we each get a few sips of that cup, but it's much appreciated, and it goes towards us being able to get things like the RoboSkull Mk II, which we are getting when everybody gets theirs in 2 years' time.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. So stuff like that, like it's very circular. It's not going into anything mundane like feeding us or keeping the roof over our heads. It's purely playtime money.
And we're thankful for that, by the way. I mean, the fact that we can
absolutely.
use the Patreon for getting stuff like, toys and stuff to review, and for being able to pay for shipping for the toys that get sent to us, for that we can review, and it's just been super helpful. So thank you to our Workforce members.
But of course, we'll keep doing everything we do as free as the air to anyone who has an internet connection. So if you are wanting to help us out in another way, of course, liking, sharing, subscribing this video, telling a friend about the podcast, bumping us on someone else's Facebook group. I typically don't like pushing our stuff on the groups, the sort of the ARR 1982 to 1994, GI Joe Uncensored. But I wouldn't complain if anyone else shared our stuff.
Yeah, I'm also a little
Cheeky.
bit like I don't want to say
Don't
insecure,
want to promote our
but I
own
mean,
shit.
I
Well,
just feel
it's
like
just promotion. If someone's like, oh, if you listen to the latest episode of GI Joburg, they had some cool opinions about so and so. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Or do it in a kind of sexy, like underhanded way. Like if someone's saying,
GI Joburg.
no, if someone's saying like, oh, how awesome is that new classified Crocmaster? It's so cool. I want to like have my Crocmaster fight my Sergeant Slaughter by Valaverse. And then you could be like, well, check out this footage of original Crocmaster fighting Warthog driver Sergeant Slaughter by GI Joburg. Give him a link to Cobra Clutch. Stuff like that.
oh my goodness.
Too cool. Too cool. Anyways, we told Rob he was off the hook, and then we kept him chained to his desk.
Tied him down.
Get
He
outside,
can't even-
have some fresh air, have a smoke, my friend. Well, that's a bit of a contradiction in terms. But we'll be back with episode 225 in just a
225.
week.
That's a nice number. I like it.
we're
Cheers,
getting-
cheers.
Cheers. And 225, won't that technically be Steven's birthday episode? Bum, bum, bum.
Technically, it will be, yeah.
Yeah.
It'll happen a couple of days, 2 days after his birthday. We'll be recording it.
Yeah.
Oh,
at least we'll know
yeah.
this- Yeah. It's going to be great. You're going to have your birthday twice. It's so nice
Yeah.
to have it twice. One in
Yo, Joburg, boys.
Yo, Joe.
Joe Masterberg.
10 jaar lang. Lekker langzaam
Lekker.
met Joburg.
Joe.